Good morning, community. How are you? It's Tuesday. I know that much. Don't know what day it is, but I know the 4th of July is coming. We're still celebrating that, huh? And then Canada Day is coming too. I have friends in Canada. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. How are you? I think I've lost track of the days. I just know we started on March 13th. So April 13th, May 13th, June 13th. So when July 13th comes, we'll be at 4 months. Okay. So what are you most concerned about? What are you most in fear or worry or even panic about? Anything? I was looking at, I think, the news at one point, and it made me want to just kind of touch base with you to see how you're doing and how you're feeling. It's so confusing. It just is so confusing. And what's amazing to me is I'm watching us argue with each other. And I have to look behind that to say, what is really going on? Are we really going to argue with each other about masks? Really? Okay, everybody has a free will. Everybody gets to make their own choice. And no, they may not agree with the choice that you're making. But yelling at people and harassing people because they don't have their mask on when you're out, I believe there are people in all the stores and all the locations that will handle that. The only thing I can get from it all is when I ask you, what are you most afraid of? What are you most concerned about? It would have to be fear. It would have to be that you're going to die. It would have to be something underneath all of it, from the media, I think, more than anything else, that has you so worried, concerned, anxious that we're now fighting about masks. You know, my position is simple. Either I'm aware or I'm not. It's just that period. I'm not that simple. I'm not concerned about what you're doing, what you're not doing. We're all adults and we get to make individual choices. But what I'm more focusing on is what's behind the arguing. I really feel like we've gotten to the point where we're just, it's an invisible imposed limit that we're pushing against. You know, we're just pushing as well as the fear. It's like, put on your mask, because that'll keep me safe. Because if you do that, then I'll be better. We don't know. But the one thing that you do know is that there is a power and a presence that's breathing your breath and beating your heart. You do know that when it's your time, period. That's just a done deal. But if it's not, then how do you continue to live the best quality, the best level of a life under the circumstances that we're in? How do you create the memories so that when we're moved on to that next stage, you can look back and say, wow, we made it through that. This is what we did. How will you, whoever it is the lead in your family, cultivate within your family a energy of working things out, working together, learning each other more, talking to each other more honestly, and being there for each other? We are in this for a minute. It's not going to go away tomorrow or even next week. There's a need for a virus. And as long as we don't have a virus, at any point, any of us could be sick. At any point, we can get sick from someone else. And that's just a fact. That's a fact. Some people are going to be sick, some people are not. Some people are going to wear their masks and some people are not. But instead of focusing all the energy out there, because we only have so much energy, what about pulling it in and zeroing in on your family, the people you're living with, the people that are around you? And I know some of you may say, well, Janine, I live by myself. Okay, the people who are in your network, the people that if you were not in the position you're in now, you'd be hanging with, you'd be going to the movies with, you'd go to the concerts with. Maybe you guys would take a trip somewhere to Mexico on our coast and on your coast, New York. Where do you go? The Bahamas, or where do you guys go on your coast? Those people. How do you get to know them better? How do you get to know you better? How do you get to understand your fears better? If you thought for some reason this was the end of your life and your journey, what would you want to be doing and focusing on while that time was coming? I just want you to move your attention from out there and bring it in here for you. Identify, what are you most afraid of? I think I wrote down 3 points. What are you most afraid of? What are you in fear about? Because that's going to determine your actions. It's going to determine how you feel. It's going to determine what you think. It's going to determine how you behave. And it's going to determine how you actually experience life on a day-to-day basis. So you have to identify, what are you afraid of getting sick? You're afraid of running out of money. You're afraid of not being able to pay your bills. Are you afraid of being homeless? Or you're afraid of your students not going back to school? Because from what I'm hearing, there's a lot to be done between now and August. Are you afraid of something with the election? Write those down, identify them. And if there's more than just one person in your household, ask the other people in your household. Sit down in the middle of the floor and have some food and ask, what are you afraid of? And get it out and talk about it. And begin to put some feelings to it, some truth to it, so that it's not just some thoughts running around your mind and you're like, oh my God, I'm afraid of this, and oh my God, I'm afraid of that. Speak it, which releases it. And then when someone else hears it, they can say, oh, that doesn't make any sense. How's that going to happen? And that's what you want to create that for yourself. The next thing I want you to look at, what can you control? Really, what can you control? In this whole process, the pandemic, the election, your feelings about the president, you're concerned about the protests, you're concerned about and feelings about the racism. What is it that you can control? You have full 100% control over. Now that's what you think. That's the actions you take. That's how you choose to feel. That's what you get to control. We can't control anything that's going on out there. We obviously cannot control the person that people chose to put in charge in the highest office in the United States. We cannot control the people who are not wearing masks. Our full control is us. So let's focus on us and control what it is that we can control of ourselves. We control what we think. We can control what we're going to eat. We can control how we're going to spend our day and our time. We can control the thoughts that we're going to think. We can control how much time we're going to spend looking at TV. We can control how much time we're going to spend worrying and fretting and being in that energy that's really heavy. We get to control what we eat. We get to control what time we go to bed. You control when and how often you make love. You get to control when and how often you exercise. So you've got more than enough to be navigating without having to turn out there and get into those conversations of pushing and pulling, wear your mask, don't wear your mask, and all of that. And the media doesn't help. I looked at the news yesterday. It is ridiculous what's on the news. It's almost like when you go outside, you get in your car, you get on the bus, the taxi, the Uber, you put on your mask, you put on your gloves. It's almost like recognizing you're going out into a different environment that you have to be prepared for. Not like going to war, but kind of that kind of thing. You're on high alert, you're aware, and all you're doing when you're out there is navigating you. What good is it going to do? Hey, excuse me, you don't have your mask on. Hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. Hey, you're not supposed. Would you want somebody doing all that to you? When we're out in the places, in the stores and the restaurants, let the people who run the places and the stores and the restaurants do all the navigating and deciding who's supposed to be in their stores, not supposed to be in our stores. What can you control? Control what you can control. Navigate, experience, talk about what's going on for you, because you can control that. You can address it. You can shift it. You can up-level it. Control how much you're exposing yourself to not only the news, but to social media. There are continuous conversations on Facebook. And there's continuous confusion on Facebook. Somebody says this, somebody says that, somebody says this. Whatever you say, someone's got another opinion about it. Someone's got a report, they've got a story, they've got something to tell you it's wrong, you shouldn't do it, or it's right. And we just go back and forth with what's right, what's not right. Every time there's a conversation about the virus, someone pops in and says, there's no virus, it's a lie, it's controversy. That's going to always be going on. So why would you spend all your time on Facebook or any of the platforms versus being outside? If you have a garden, a small garden, in your yard, looking at the things that you want to look at. And as well as when I asked you, what can you control? What were all those things that you said you wanted to do if you had the time? Isn't it funny how we always want what we can't have in that moment, but when we can have it, we don't want it? Don't ask me to say that again. It just came through. But you know what I mean. When you were working, you said, oh, I want to write this book. Or when I get off work, I'm going to do this. Or I can't do what I want to do because of my job and my debt. Okay, well, now you don't have the job for the moment because you will be going back to work. What happened to all those things you said you wanted to do? You have the time now to do that. That you can control. The other, let that go. There is a higher power that's keeping track of all that. And then the last question to ask yourself is, what are you willing to take action for and on? I have a colleague, a friend, a peer who is really spearheading an incredible movement, and I'm watching her do it, called the Million Letter Movement, because they know, and I always liken it to, if you ever saw the Christmas Story, what is it, my favorite, Miracle on 34th Street. And at the end, in the court trial, the attorney has everyone bring in all the letters that the children or everyone had written to Santa. And he just piles them up and piles them up and piles them up so high on the judge's desk. If you see him, he's trying to move them. Well, that's the intention behind what she's creating. And I think it's amazing. It is about defunding the police, but really it's about defunding a part of what the police have. I mean, have you looked at the budgets that the police departments have? I think I looked at ours and I can't remember, but it was some astronomical amount. The police departments almost have more money than some of the schools. So it's looking at those, and there's like key elements and key implements that they're addressing, that when you fill out the letter, and it's simple. The letter's already written for you. All you have to do is find your mayor, print out the letter, put in the information, and send it. So that's something that you could be a part of if you want to take that kind of action. And then, of course, there's always our homes. There's always something in our homes we can let go of, we can clean up, we can throw away, or we can organize. And if you've done all that, then great. And you've done your closets, great. Did you do the garage? So there's always those places where you can take action. What was that degree you said you wanted? What was that course you wanted to study? We have been home, what did I count earlier? March, April, May, June, July, almost 4 months. Do you know in 4 to 6 months online, you can get degrees and complete courses and all kind of things? Matter of fact, by the time this is over with, you could have created another career for yourself. Those of you who choose to do a side hustle for yourself. 4 months at home, not having to go to work. So identify what you're afraid of. Write it all down. Ask everyone in your family, what are you guys afraid of? So when you do this, if there's a low energy or something like that, you can begin to talk about it and bring the energy up in the home. What can you control? What can you control? What can your children control? What can you control? And in your sphere, whatever it is that you can control, be on that. Be mindful about that. Allow that to be what you do. And maybe you're that person who stays home. I don't even know if it's a couple. I believe some people, let's say, moved over across from me. Because I know everybody around them. And we had a social distancing event a couple of weekends ago. And I was saying, who lives over there? And she said, oh, there's one man that lives over there and somebody comes to visit him. I kid you not, I have not seen those people in 4 months. Their cars are dusty and dirty. I haven't even seen their cars move. I haven't even seen anything be delivered over there. But nonetheless, they're in their house doing what they're choosing to do. And that's the same for each and every one of us. What can you control? You control how much media you take in. You control how much you allow yourself to be bombarded with the news. I watched it yesterday, and it's the same thing. The news at 4 is the same. The news at 5 is the same. The news at 6 is the same. There's like 3 or 4 hours worth of news repeating the same thing over and over and over. And I know you say, well, if I look at this one, it tells me a little bit more. And if I look over here, it tells me a little bit more. But what does any of it do to soothe that sense of you that may feel anxious, nervous, worry, and fear? What you do for that is identify it. You look it dead in the face and be able to say, I'm afraid that, ... I'm in fear that, ... And then begin to look at the truth as you pull it apart, because fear just runs rapid if we don't like jack it up, so to speak. It's like, okay, I'm afraid that, I won't be able to do this and this. Okay, well, how come you're afraid that won't happen? What makes you think that won't happen? What are the other possibilities that it could happen? Look at what you can control and stay in your lane with what you can control. When I go out to the store to get what I go get it and I come home. I don't care who has a mask on or does not, because I'm not going to get anywhere near you without a mask. That's my personal preference. Then sometimes I get in the car and I forget about a mask because for some reason I forget we're even in the pandemic. And I'm like, oh, shoot. So now I put one in the car, so I have it there, and the plastic gloves. And that's it. I'm not arguing with people because they want to decide who can and cannot wear masks. I'm not trying to convince anybody about anything. I don't need to convince you that there's racism. I don't need to convince you that you need to wear masks. I don't need to convince you that you need to stay home or we all need to take road trips Because some people are flying and they don't mind that. You get to convince yourself and our family members and then go on and live our lives so that we have some semblance of peace for each day that we're living. I don't choose to, do you, live every single day in fear and worry and anxiety. At some point, you really want to take advantage of this time. If you can remember what it was like when you were working on a regular basis, then you want to take advantage of this time because you know, like anything in life, it's not going to last long. Although I know it's been going on a year and that's a long time, but I'm just saying it won't go on for 2 years and 3 years and 4 years. So if you're struggling, shift your perception, shift the way you're looking at it. Limit the time on TV, limit the time on social media. What did I do? I caught up on Insecure the other night, I think on Saturday or Sunday. I was mistaken. She did go, I used to call her Issa Rae, but she did go behind Molly's back to talk to the guy. I was thinking that it was the other way around. So I got caught up on that. And was there something else I looked at that I wanted to see? It was good as well. And there was something else that just came out new on Netflix that I saw. Oh, The Five Bloods. That was good. That was interesting to see that story, the way Spike Lee had written it. And it was also interesting to see our footprint in Vietnam. Because I remember when that war happened and we had no reason to be there. That was the war where Muhammad Ali said, those people haven't done anything to me. They're not racist against me. They're not penalizing me. You know, he was referencing America. I'm not going over there to fight. Well, it's interesting to see that after so many of our men, I have a long-term friend who went to Vietnam, that were there, who were involved with the women, who had families and children. All of that gets brought out in this movement, in the movie by Spike Lee, and their reaction to our GIs and how they treat them and how they respond to them, because they knew we didn't need to be there and we didn't need to be there, but we went into Vietnam. The disagreement was between North Vietnam and South Vietnam, not North Vietnam, South Vietnam, and America. But those were the days when America was the top dog and just would get in everybody's fights, give guns to one person, give money to the other person, and then have them go at each other. So it was really an interesting story, and how the demons can really, if we're not monitoring our mindset, if we're not conscious of what we're thinking and what we're feeling on a regular basis, and not shifting ourselves to be positive as much as we can. I know you're saying, Janine, we're in a pandemic. I know people are dying. People die all the time. I know. But if you're going out without masks, and you're going out hanging out in parties and going to the bars and whatever, I figure that's their choice. And if they get sick and it's their time and they leave, that's what was supposed to happen. And if they go out and party and they don't get sick, well, that was supposed to happen. I have no energy on any of that. There's a power bigger than me that's orchestrating all that. So I'm focusing on any concerns and feelings I have, releasing those, breathing those, meditating on those, and spending time in nature. Then I focus on what I can control, and that's more than enough. I have a business to run. I have a 16-year-old. He's learning how to drive. He's taking summer classes. How do we plan a different kind of vacation for the children to have just some kind of break or semblance of a break before they're back in school again? What we eat, where we go, and that's it. That's all I need to control. The rest of it, I can't control all of it. And then what am I going to take action on? Well, this was my call today. I'll be off the phone heading into our challenge. Ladies, I'm inviting you to join the challenge. It's an incredible conversation about how we've been held back in our relationship with money because of money taboos. And the biggest taboo was, shh, don't talk about money publicly. It's not polite. Well, heck, how are you supposed to find out if you need a raise if you don't talk to the other sister in the building where you're working to see what she's making? It's amazing that we won't collude together to support each other, but brothers are just doing whatever they need to do, and men are doing whatever they need to do to move forward. And we're still saying, no, I can't talk about that. I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure how confident I am. I haven't done really good with money. Well, none of us haven't, because nobody taught us, but we're teaching ourselves now, and we're learning, and I'm inviting you to come and learn with us. So you know the link, www.createmywealthplan.com. And I know you're like, Janine, wealth. What are you talking about wealth? If you only knew. If you could measure your value, not just in money, but by time, you'd understand wealth is more about freedom than anything else. And you deserve. I mean, the whole movements, the whole marches, this is just another way to look at it. You deserve the freedom that you're willing to snatch and claim for yourself. So I'm inviting you to come into the group. We're wrapping up this week. Kim Coles is going to be joining us today. Tomorrow, Amy Westbrook Cochran is going to be joining us. You know Kim, she's a speaker, a coach, and an actress. Amy is she's just a kick-ass coach. And then Dr. Lisa Lewis will be with us on Friday. She is a holistic practitioner. We're all talking about money, how much we make, what do we do, what are our fears, what are our concerns, how do we shift our energy around the old beliefs that don't serve us, and then how do we move forward in our life for our families and ourselves, in our businesses to build and grow, and in our community and our philanthropic opportunities and efforts. All that's connected to money. Every designer ideal that you have, every meal that you want to eat, all of the ties that you may want to give to churches and organizations, and your relationship, everything, the four primary areas of our life are all impacted by money. So why not get smart at it? Why not get confident at the things that we think everybody else seems to know that we don't know? So I'm inviting you ladies, because the men do pretty good around this, to join us in the 5-day Create My Wealth Plan Challenge. Leading up to that, we're talking about that doggone money taboo. There's actually 5 taboos, but the one we're focusing on is money. So I've given you 3 things. Identify your fear, identify what you can control, and then notice what you will take action on for your peace, for your sanity, and moving forward. I know it can feel like we're being contained, and I know we think we want to burst out into something. And then when you look at it, what is it really? You want to burst out to go to the grocery stores whenever you feel like it. You want to burst out and go to the movie theaters, what? Whenever you feel like it. You want to bust out and get on a plane and travel wherever you want to, whenever you feel like it. You want to what? Go to Target whenever you feel like it. Well, for now, we get to be mindful about those trips. We don't just jump up and go like we did before. We want to be mindful about what those trips look like. And as a sidebar, if you notice, while this is all going on, America is still pushing her holidays. She's saying, go spend, go spend, go spend. We're having a sale. Get something for the 4th of July. Come on, spend your money. To me, it all seems so doggone insensitive when they know people are out of work. But that machine keeps going. So you get to choose what you're going to be doing with your money for this Independence Day, which comes with its own issues now, too. Take good care. Have a great day. Be good to you. Notice what you can control. Notice what's driving your fear. Manage that. And then after that, what are you going to take action on? Take good care. Bye for now.